Hey everybody,
Hi.
Welcome to tonight's amazing, fantastic live stream. I hope you're watching this. If not, then what are you doing right now?
I'm watching.
You're watching? Good.
Yep, I'm watching.
So I have myself, here's my lovely co-host Naomi.
I'm a co-host.
Ashley is feeding the Burby. She'll be here in a little bit. So right now it's just going to be you and me, and the camera makes three.
You, me, and I.
Camera, me and you.
Yeah, me and you.
All right, so how's everybody doing this evening? I'm glad you're coming in. I'm glad you're either here live stream or I'm glad you're watching this after the fact. We appreciate you being here. Scott G, how have you been? I haven't seen you in forever. We have Chillin' Penguin Army, Storm Chasing Gal, Baby Doc, who's still full of ham, Beatles Towing, hey, Mary, hello Mary, Kim's Cluckers, Teresa TJF, Sven, hello Sven, hello Karen. Good to see everybody popping in the house. Keep it popping.
Pop, pop.
That's what was in my head. All right, Naomi, Mom will be in a little bit. Naomi's here right now.
What's up, guys?
So good thing you guys are here. What kind of news do we have tonight, Naomi?
News in general or news from questions?
Oh, you have any questions already?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say that.
I was about to say, that's really, really fast. All right, news. One of my friends, he might stop in. He stops in on occasion. Lee from KLW News is actually having all his camera live streams on Russia right now. As he believes Russia, he has compelling evidence too, that Russia is going to break through on the border between Latvia and Poland to push through his troops, which is pretty frightening if that's the case. Mm-hmm. Because he may actually look at it as simply just trying to go through the straits, but of course that'd be an attack on NATO. So hopefully that doesn't come about. But my friend Lee at KLW News, who usually has a pretty good finger on the pulse on stuff, thinks that's what's going to happen. That's the only news that I know of right now.
April 8th.
April 8th chaos.
Yes.
Is that? That's like a little over a week away.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a week from Monday.
Oh, maybe.
Oh yeah, that's the night we're doing our demonstration for martial arts.
No.
Well, it's that night. The eclipse will be far over by then.
Oh, I guess. I don't know what time the eclipse happens. I do know Michigan's in a good spot. It should be like-
Now, anywhere in Michigan's not going to be will not be optimal. You'll still see it. It just won't be perfect.
No, I heard it's pretty perfect.
Pretty perfect. It won't be perfect. You have to be down like 3 hours south of here.
Oh, yeah.
4 hours south of here.
It's going to be good.
From our friend Dr. W. How are you, Dr. W? Good to see you. How deep into the ground can an EMP effect reach? Not far at all. Ground is an excellent insulator. In fact, even if you want to put a grounding rod into the ground, some houses need multiple grounding rods, and we're talking about into the feet just to try to establish a good ground. Now, it'll basically dissipate within a matter of inches, not anything you need to worry about. So if you're looking at burying stuff, it'll probably work pretty well. Government-sponsored chaos. Well, that's what governments do. They sponsor chaos to try to get votes, and everything's all happy.
I mean, you got to give them credit. They are very good at it.
They are very good at it. Yeah. Well, they've had 200 years to master it.
And they're very creative at it, too.
Yeah, KLW World News. Fantastic. So, it's good to see everybody, and hope everybody enjoyed the day off. Where do you say is the best city to view the eclipse? Well, there's actually an entire line stretching from Texas up to the northeast. So it's not just one city, it's multiple. I know for me, there's a tournament coming up next weekend in Indianapolis, just outside of Indianapolis.
Next weekend?
Yeah. Oh, we're not going.
Oh, I was like...
Yeah, so I got a message straight from headquarters saying, if you're going to try to go to that tournament, you need to book your hotel room. This is like over a month ago. And we decided at that time, we're just not going to go. No big deal.
I saw a video online, and I found Michigan on it. That's what I heard.
So a lot of people are saying, like Storm Chasing Gal, I think the New Madrid fault will awaken after the eclipse. Me personally, I don't. The biggest reason is, in our minds, we think that even when there's actually an alignment of the planets, which happens every so forever, not very often, you would think the gravitational pull of all the planets would actually wreak havoc on the fault lines, but that's not what we see. The moon, certainly by itself, creates some serious tugs on the Earth, whereas every time the moon passes over the Empire State Building stretches out by 6 inches. Then when the moon goes down, it goes back to its normal shape. And then 6 inches, then its normal shape. However, when we talk about the orbit of the sun even though obviously we're trapped in the gravitational acceleration of the sun, does not have the same effects as it does the moon, not even close. And so seeing an eclipse, even though we see the sun and the moon aligned, we are going through a we are seeing a solar maximum right now, which does mess with the faults. So the sun itself, along with the moon, could be doing it, but I don't think personally it's going to be with the eclipse at all. We have a super sticker from Dr. W.
Keep it up.
Is that what it says?
Keep it up.
Honestly, my computer and my fuzzy glasses, it looks like it says beer up. Can you see that? It
Yes,
looks like
keep it
it
up.
looks says beer up. Oh, that's not a bad idea, Angie. By the way, thank you, Dr. W, for the super sticker.
Thank you.
Angie has a super chat. Thank you, Angie, for $9.99. Will I go live during the eclipse? I wouldn't be against it, but I want to be out watching it.
Yeah.
You
We
know?
have like glasses.
Yeah, I usually take my welding helmet out.
Oh man, do we have a welding helmet?
We have a couple of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, that's it. I'm good with 87%. Same thing here. I don't know what percent we are, but it's definitely not 100%.
Well, thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate that. Yeah, so honestly, I wouldn't mind going live during it, but I'd rather spend that time with my family. But I'll tell you, if something major happens, I'll go live immediately right after.
How long will it last for?
Minutes,
Oh,
I think. I don't know the exact time. Yeah, very nice.
man, there's no questions.
Yeah. Wow, no questions, huh? A lot of people are here
Most of
tonight.
them are really boring.
I'll put some questions out to you guys. What kind of preps are you guys working on right now? Are you guys putting anything together prep-wise?
I was working on flashlights the other day.
What's that?
I was working on flashlights the other day.
Flashlights?
Yeah.
I'm working on getting my area cleaned up to turn my freeze dryer back on. I don't need more freeze drying.
Yeah.
Oh, we have another super chat from AU. Hey, you, how are you? For $5, thank you. Do you think there are areas in rural, I hate that word, rural, I can never say it, Ohio, that would be safe to move to, or is northern Michigan better? I don't like our Michigan government leader gun laws. Oh, I'm with you. But here's the thing. My view, this is my opinion. I really want to stress it's my opinion and not based on like any type of real fact or anything specifically. If I had to choose between an area of rural Ohio, which there's going to be cities somewhat nearby, and then you choose it between that and northern Michigan, where there are no cities, practically speaking at all, I would choose, and then crappy gun laws, I would choose rural Michigan with the crappy gun laws. And the reason being is, although the government has some serious problems, although we have people in the government who absolutely want to take away our Second Amendment, they tell them to take away our guns, I think more than likely something major is going to happen, and it's going to cause mass chaos with the people. And I worry more about that than I worry about the government trying to take my guns, which, I happen to have them on a boat, and they happen to fall overboard, one of those little stories. But I want to stress again, that's my opinion. I could easily see if you want to go to like Ohio, which, there's some parts of Ohio that are fantastic, for the fact that there's so many cities in Ohio and it's such a dense populace in so many locations, I worry more about population than I do the government. But that's me. And I definitely could see you looking the other way direction if you did.
I am blind. There was a question.
I see one from the Lamb. Can I recommend an electric grain mill? Oh, indeed you do. I can. I have, and I'm going to put a link up for it. We have a Wonder Mill. And the word wonder really is attached to the Wonder Mill. That thing is fantastic. Now, we have a Wonder Mill Junior too, because any type of electric stuff that we have for our kitchen, we also have a manual one as well. So I'm going to put a link up for some mills and stuff on here for you. There we go. Maybe. It's not working. Wow. My computer's really being doofy tonight. Hold on.
Goof computer.
Wow. Oh, I'm actually 2 characters over. Hold on. All right, there we go. So there's the first. Oh my gosh, what a gobbledygook of links. I apologize. The Wonder Mill's fantastic. It really does a lot of stuff. There's a few links there. If you just click the very top one, it'll take you to the Wonder Mill. The second link I posted on the complete separate one, that's the Wonder Mill Junior, which is a manual one, and we have both. We love that stuff. Oh, Kathy's going to dehydrate some food. I like dehydrating.
I feel bad.
Oh, I lost my weapons in a poker game. Darn it.
So this question was way earlier and I missed it by accident. Okay. It says, I need to get up to speed on long-term storage of rice, beans, flour, egg. What is the, or etc. What is the best way to do that? Thanks for all you do.
What's the best means of storing rice and beans?
Getting it as fast as you can.
Oh, yeah. And I'll tell you, if you want to store food quickly, you nailed it. Rice and beans are it. The problem with rice and beans, and there's only one major problem with them, is the amount of heat you have to put in them to prepare them. And I think I've had people say, oh, it's not that much. Well, those are people who actually have an electric stove or a gas stove and always have electricity and gas coming in. It requires a lot of heat to get those things prepared, even if you do soak them compared to other stuff. But rice and beans, honestly, if I did a video where if you just pick up certain items from like a Costco or a Sam's Club, then the membership pays for itself in practically one trip. It's pretty amazing. But if you don't want to get the Sam's membership, you can go to Walmart and get I think they're 10-pound or 20-pound bags of rice. And it's just a little bit more by buying it that way, or the dried beans. But if you really want to play catch up, you might want to actually get a wholesale club membership.
What's going on with the cicadas? Did you hear about something about that?
Well, I know it's the first time they come out, and it's like a 7-year rotation or cycle or something like that.
Yeah, they do. I knew that, but I didn't realize. Someone's saying that in the Eclipse is a little weird. All
right, from Echo36, hey, how you doing? For a super chat, thank you for pointing out. I appreciate that. If you hear the news, there's an unconfirmed early reports of a large detonation in Ukraine near Poland. What do you think in the next hour of verifying? No, there is a large explosion. It's actually from a Soviet-era large-scale gas bomb, and it was not nuclear, but it is a massive bomb, and what it does, it uses liquid petroleum in the sorts of like napalm, but what it does is literally just over the ground, the bomb detonates, spraying that liquid fuel everywhere, and it's an anti-personnel bomb that covers a large, large area. And Russia dropped one of these on Ukraine, and just a matter of a couple hours ago, I think it was. And they're just horrible because even though they're not classified as chemical weapons, which Russia's already been using chemical weapons, by the way. It's not a biological, it's not nuclear, but it's right on the borderline of still being inhumane that they dropped on Ukraine. Yeah, pretty scary stuff. Thank you for the super chat.
Someone said 2 species of cicadas are hatching at the same time. Which
oh, really? Rare. I don't know if you can hear Naomi. I can try.
Sorry, guys.
Here, I'm going to move the microphone.
My ears are a little plugged, so I'm probably talking quieter.
We'll put the microphone right here until Ashley comes in. Yeah, so 2 different species, huh? Wonder if that's going to cause any type of problems or disruptions.
You have another super chat?
From 2 Doctors Homestead. Good to hear from you, 2 Doctors. It's been a little while.
That's a cool name.
Thanks for all the videos, $9.99. Thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Yeah, guys, we always appreciate the super chats and the super stickers. And I always want to stress that I'll answer questions and talk about stuff without the super chats and super stickers. But if you do feel compelled to want to donate to the channel, we always appreciate it. We use it for the channel and just trying to get things done for the family and such. And we're always having certain things going on. Like right now, I'm trying to work on my medical series, but it's kind of slow going. I think it's going to be a few more weeks before I start releasing some of the medical series videos. But I'm always trying to up the channel and put out stuff when I do have extra funds like that into videos that would actually be beneficial to the followers. And that's what we shoot for.
What is the WEF voting on the 8th?
Oh, I don't know. The WF's loading something?
Voting.
Oh, voting. WF's doing a voting?
WEF.
Oh, I didn't know that. The World Economic Forum. Had a Klaus Schwab. No, I didn't know they were doing a voting.
Whoa. Cicadas will eat billions of pounds of vegetation. Wow.
Wow, that's incredible. A day.
How do you know what Russia dropped on who?
Yeah, I'll tell you the breaks. I use multiple news sources. But I will say this, and I don't think you meant to put it that way, the breaks, but I will not get pulled into a debate as far as who's the fault here. Is it Russia? Is it United States? Is it NATO? Is it Ukraine? I'm not getting into that. I was simply just making an observation of reports that come out that Russia's dropped one of their bombs. But anyways, if you don't believe me, then go do your own research, if that's the case.
At least it's not the cicadas from like Jurassic World.
Yeah. All right, I see Craig. What's a good water filter that would filter chemicals out of the well water in the case of a nuclear attack? All right, so there's 2 different types of nuclear you have to worry about with your well. Well, in reality, 3. The first one is simply like ash and soot and such blowing in from a nearby detonation or maybe a nuclear power plant that was hit. I want to stress this is different than nuclear fallout. Nuclear fallout is a whole different sucker. That's different. We'll talk about that in a minute. But if you talk about like nuclear ash and soot in there, any activated charcoal filter will do just fine. In fact, I'll be honest with you, a ceramic filter would do just fine filtering out those radionucleotides. It'll do just fine. The biggest thing is, especially we're talking about a well that's like an open well, what happens is if you're close enough to a detonation in the super fire, there's so much fire burning. And I'm not talking about the fire from the actual mushroom cloud, but actually just fires of things catching on fire, putting radioactive nucleotides into ash in the air. If that blows on you, that soot and such is radioactive, and if it lands in your well, you have to filter it out. You cannot drink it. That's the key. So any type of decent filter will do that. A ceramic filter, a activated charcoal filter like a Berkey, a Sawyer, all those will do just fine with that. Now, second, fallout. So let's say you're not getting that soot from the ash in the fire, but the fallout actually goes up into the stratosphere, cools off, and drops back down again. If that goes in your well, it will fall to the bottom because that's not soot or dust at all. It's actually glass and sand particles, and it'll fall to the bottom of your well. Now, more than likely, your well takes water more toward the middle or top, and you should be good. I stress the word should be. Put it through a filter, still be helpful there too. Since the particulates on that are actually large, easily a ceramic filter will work just fine with that. However, the third part is because of nuclear detonation and neutron activation, some of your water and even the groundwater will turn into what's called heavy water. And there's not a filter on the planet that'll remove heavy water. Not a single one. It doesn't exist. And so there will be radioactive water. It's alpha radiation, and it's actually very low level radiation. If you do ingest lots of it, it can cause problems, but there's nothing you can do about it. There's not a filter that'll actually, we cannot filter out heavy water. That's why we have to have centrifuges, which nobody centrifuges water before they drink it. That's just a weird thing.
Someone said, did you hear that NASA is sending 3 rockets up during the solar eclipse?
No, I didn't know that either.
Why? What are we
because
doing?
NASA, and they want to waste taxpayer money, either on nefarious activities or wasting it on garbage.
What's the family doing for the solar eclipse? Watching it.
Yeah, that's all. We have no plans.
Yeah.
Just watching it.
Okay.
Getting our welders helmets out.
How are the kitties doing?
Kitties are great. Trouble. So we have our bigger kitty is a tom kitty, is a tomcat named Peanut Butter. And then the tiny little kitty is Blue, and she's a girl. And Blue just kind of follows along. They're both super playful. In fact, Blue has a little mouse. Is it catnip or what is it?
It's just a little mouse.
A little mouse she carries around everywhere. That's her little baby. She loves it, loves it.
Yeah.
But then Peanut Butter is like the socialite. He will not, especially me, will not leave me alone.
Yeah.
He cuddles up next to me and licks my legs, and I'm allergic to him, and so I have to go wash my legs every time. But they're both doing great. They're around here somewhere. Who knows? They may make a present a little bit later.
They're probably taking a nap.
Yeah.
Jenna probably took one up with her.
Let's see.
I don't. Did you do any thoughts on the filtration?
What's that?
There was a one. You see my comment there?
No. No, it's to you.
Okay.
Oh, there you are. Yeah.
Yeah, right above that, there's a question.
Okay, good. Any thoughts on P&J filtration powder, coagulant, flocculant, and disinfectant to quickly remove radioactive particles from the water? No. Any type of those powders and stuff will actually work as what are called surfactants and removing stuff from there. I'm not saying they won't work, but a filter actually works just as effective. And so if you could do that, it would work just fine. But honestly, I see those things are expensive, by the way. It's actually, in my opinion, easier just to get a filter and filter water out that way.
There's another question.
Hey, and Tina, I just want to say, by the way, this is a prepping channel. It's not a religion channel. A lot of people came over and just wish each other happy Easter, which is great. But we're not trying to push any type of religion stuff on here. So please refrain from doing that.
We had a question from Solar Independent Utility Systems Manual.
Actually, I say it right now. That's awesome.
Yes.
The whole name should be like CSM.
It was like, can I say it? I can.
CSM the moment. All right, question. So I got my generator underground a few feet, so with a wooden cover, but still connected to the house with wires. Is it protected? Or do I need a conduit on the wires, I'm guessing? If you're looking at a metal conduit, you will. Here's the problem. Placing the generator a little bit underground, fantastic idea for numerous reasons. Obviously, EMP see me, but even more so, it'll actually help mask the noise. Maybe if you haven't done it, put a better muffler on it before the exhaust gases come above ground. That'll actually help mask the generator. Very good idea. If the generator is connected to stuff like your house, for example, the longer the wires, the better chance it takes that stray current from the EMP and shunts it to the generator. Gives you a greater chance of frying your generator. Just keep that in mind. Now, if every one of the wires is actually in an encased, grounded metal conduit, that's great. That'll work just fine. You don't need to do it. But the problem is, in the house where the wires come out, you may want to consider something about that too. Unfortunately, if it's a large enough EMP strike, it'll actually jump right across a breaker. That's something to think about. You may want to consider getting an EMP shield. What it does is it shunts the excess current to ground. But you're on the right track. Certainly having a metal conduit would help drastically, and having your generator underground is a very good idea. So you're way ahead of the game. Good job.
Gray Woman 79. Do canned sardines, mackerel, trout packed in oil expire or go bad? I have some past their best buy date. What? And damaged cans. Any risk there?
Well, if there's damaged can, there's certainly a risk. Certainly. If you
undamaged.
Oh, undamaged. No, you're good. Now, you're still not good. The oil can go rancid. Now, the biggest problem when you have them packed in oil, it does take a long time for acidity to kick in. We're talking about years past the best buy date. So it comes down to this. Crap hits the fan. It's 3 years down the road, and you're like, that's all I have to left of these sardines. Open it and smell it. If it smells like Play-Doh, they've gone rancid. But you can still eat them. It'll upset your stomach. It'll decrease the nutrition. It won't be so tasty. But you can still eat them if you have no other nutrition. Go for it. So don't toss them by any means. It's just you have to understand, since they're in oil, it may have drastically decreased nutrition and increased becoming rancid. That's something you do have to worry about, even in an unsealed or a sealed can.
Play-Doh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Any rancid stuff smells like Play-Doh.
Oh.
I mean, it really does, too, by the way. It smells just like Play-Doh.
Well, that's weird, because I like Play-Doh smell.
Oh, I know, me too. But if you're like, Play-Doh, oh, wait a second. These sardines should not smell like yellow Play-Doh.
Hey, Doc, the GoldBacks, how good are they here in Michigan?
Honestly, that's a fantastic question. I have not experimented a whole lot with GoldBacks here in Michigan. But now that snow has probably gone now for the year, and yard sale season is coming up, and being nice season is coming up, that's actually my plans in the next couple months, is to really hit up some places to see if they'll accept GoldBacks. I may do a whole dedicated video just on yard sales, trying to go out for a day and see what I can spend with GoldBacks to buy stuff from yard sales.
Yard sale season's coming up.
Right. Oh, yeah. Michigan, by the way, if you're not a Michigander, it is like the land of yard sales and festivals up here.
I remember when we first moved, you were like, whoa.
So like most every town, bigger town in the state has a festival. Most of them do. Assume most do. But like near us is a town called Shepherd. Awesome little town, by the way. And they have a maple syrup festival. And every time one of these towns has the festival, then they also have a community-wide yard sale as well.
Yeah. And then we're not exaggerating, like they always do yard sales.
We're talking about massive amounts. So
I feel like the festival's an excuse to do yard sales.
Right. So now it's starting to get nicer out. I plan on doing the yard sale thing, but I also plan on going to some businesses too to see if they'll take it. I really want to go to some of the Amish stores and see if they'll take them. And it's not a problem with the Amish taking them. It's a matter of they don't like being filmed sometimes.
Oh, well, you just have like a body cam.
Yeah, I'll sneak it in there. They'll never watch the channel and see.
That's true. Do you have a list or videos regarding what to have in a first aid kit?
I do have a video.
Oh my gosh. That name is hilarious.
I do. I can't remember what the video was. I made a medical supply video. For me, this is how my preps go, by the way. I will organize certain types of preps into a tub. The plastic tubs you get from Walmart. I literally have a giant tub full of nothing but trauma stuff. I have another tub full of nothing but surgery, another tub full of nothing but blood management, etc. I actually took a small kit and modeled it on the channel quite a while ago. But again, one of the things I'm doing right now is making a series on medical for the channel. So it'd probably be a good idea to actually revisit some of that too. So if I don't have one, if you just simply search later on for the channel and type in medical, maybe you'll come across that video, but I'll be making more in the future.
I want to make purple dead nettles with apple cider vinegar. How much should I take a day?
I don't know.
I'll
tell you though, that you couldn't ask for something better though, by the way. It's fantastic for you. I just don't have dosages on that. I'm not the best at herbology. I love herbology. I just don't know it that well. I saw a question too, but I think it just disappeared now.
I've been collecting them. Is it about GoldBacks?
Yeah, it was a GoldBack one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so if somebody's buying GoldBacks, what do you recommend getting? I recommend getting the ones. I'm not saying don't get some 5s and maybe even some 10s, but having a lot of the ones to be able to barter, in my opinion, is probably the best, because right now the one is worth like almost $5. You get a lot of stuff for $5 for a one. But if you get into like a 5, that's $25, and then a 10 is $50. It really makes it so it's not so what's called fungible or denominationable. I like the ones, and I have a lot of ones.
Oh, we have a super chat?
Oh, we do?
Yep.
All right, let me see if I can find
It's
it.
cute. A super sticker,
Oh, yeah,
I guess.
from Carla. That's a super chat.
What
If
is that
the-
sticker?
Oh, is it? I thought if there's words on it, it was a chat.
I honestly don't know. I was like, oh, sticker. Super
From Carla Ratone, $5. Thank you, Carla. Do you need an EMP shield for the solar panels themselves, or only between the breaker where your power comes from to the system? Ultimately, here's basically my forever understanding that the solar panels themselves don't need any type of EMP shield. Even though they're made of silicon, they don't actually have any semiconductor material in them specifically. However, from the solar panels to the house, we also have your voltage, your charge regulators, all that stuff. Those will certainly have a chance of frying. And if they're connected to your solar panels, that's a problem. So between the breaker and where the power comes from the system, certainly, I don't think you're going to need one for the panels. I say that probably because I've researched this numerous times, but I had one person say, oh no, the panels actually have semiconductors on them. I'm like, they do? I don't think so. So I'm going to still stick with my guns that the solar panels themselves don't need an EMP shield, but the electronics with it certainly will.
Catsup? Is that another word for ketchup?
Yeah.
Oh, someone's wanting to. Will that go bad?
Yeah, it will. Yeah, ketchup, unfortunately, even though it has a lot of sugar and stuff in there, the sugar helps microbes so they will not grow.
Wait, ketchup goes well with fish? That's what it says, mussels and stuff.
I don't know.
That's so weird.
I see a super sticker. That's a super sticker from Solar Independent for 99 cents. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Question. What if you can't smell? Is there another way to tell if something's rancid? Probably eating it.
Not that I know of. Yeah, I don't know of any other way. Find your neighbor who can smell for you. I don't know of any other way, unfortunately.
Weird prepping items. Single-serve condiment packets like hot sauce, mayonnaise, mustard,
For
ketchup,
sure.
vinegar.
Oh, yeah.
Bell.
For the longest time, that's all I ever did was collected single-serve packets of everything. Remember that? I kind of stopped. I began to give up on that over time.
Baby.
Hello, Ashley.
Hello.
Everybody, it's Ashley and little Miriam.
Everyone
Hey,
say
Miriam.
hi, baby.
She is grabbing everything, into everything, plays with everything,
She's been into pinching.
pinching and grabbing, and
Yep.
she's like, I'll take that can.
I have been told solar panels are okay in EMP if not hooked up.
Right, that's it, exactly, if they're not hooked up. I mean, even if they are hooked up, they'll be fine too. It's just what they're hooked up to, that part will become fried, is the problem.
Don't you find it peculiar? FEMA is asking people to prepare and deploy NG for this particular eclipse.
I'll be honest with you. Between FEMA and the feds and the National Guard units, and there's so many things happening that makes me say, what the heck is going on? Because a few years ago we had a solar eclipse and there was nothing like this at all. Nothing. And now suddenly they're calling up all these different things and so either A, there's something coming we don't know about, or B, and this is the bigger problem, they could be simply just doing this to try to strike fear in people, which is what the government's really good at.
Or it's a test. You know, whenever they do tests,
Oh,
things
yeah.
go down. So,
Do you recommend getting a Jase medical kit?
Jase?
Jase.
My bad. I was like, Jase?
How about this? I recommend you getting antibiotics
Yeah.
any possible way you can. Not any possible way. Don't steal
Oh,
them.
it says hi.
Don't steal them. There are some physicians out there, who will. Here, let me turn this a little bit. It didn't anything. Went right back to the way it was. There are some physicians out there who are actually pretty decent, and they'll say, "Listen, I want to actually get a prescription of amoxicillin or penicillin, etc." And if I just want to keep this as a prophylaxis in case crap hits the fan. There are some doctors who are actually pretty decent who might do that for you. Or maybe you actually have a friend who can write a prescription for you or something like that. If all other ways are exhausted and you can't do it, then I would go with Jase. The problem is with Jase, and Jase is not a problem, by the way. They really are a solution to a problem. If you go to your physician and get antibiotics, there's a good chance all of it or part of it will be covered by some kind of insurance, probably so.
yeah, I mean,
Jase is not.
Yeah, it's out of pocket.
It's out of pocket. And although they do not charge an exuberant price, they only charge you a little bit above and beyond what you'd be paying out of pocket anyway. It does get expensive. But
So
that's not Jase's fault.
No, if you have to buy it out of pocket, I would recommend it because it honestly, when we broke it down, it was only a couple bucks more going it through Jase than it was from your insurance company. So,
All right. From our Heath, I'm sorry, not Health, 999. Thank you for the super chat. Ketchup will last for about 5 years if stored in a cool, dark place. Yeah, exactly. It may turn dark, but it tastes okay. It's still fine. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, a lot of the sugars and everything will prevent microbial growth. It's just some of the acid and everything from the tomatoes and stuff in there will start turning. But very good. From Carla for $5. Thank you. Where do you put the E? Where do you put the EMP shield in the solar system? Probably on Earth. I'm kidding. No, I'm just kidding. On your electrical system, I think is what you're asking. Where do you put an electrical system? It actually ties right into the breaker panel itself. And unless you know how to do this stuff, which I do, you need to get an electrician to install it for you.
yeah, don't want to mess up.
Yeah. I would definitely want to mess up with this kind of thing. Lots of good questions. And you owe me the question queen.
Yeah,
left,
she did
so
great. Honestly, I'm kind of watching it. I really don't see.
She has like a list of questions over there.
No, she cleared them before she
Oh,
walked
she?
off.
Okay. So how many people here are going to be going out watching the eclipse? And is anybody actually in the range of seeing it practically, totally? That's my question for you guys.
Let's see.
Yeah, so the New Madrid fault had the same solar eclipse pattern in 0206 and 1811, just before the Great Quake the eclipse could possibly trigger. I'm not going to say it isn't a possibility, but what we have found, astronomically speaking, that if you have an alignment of the planets and the sun and the moon, does not usually cause problems. So either A, it was a coincidence, which I don't believe in coincidences, mind you, or B, it was one of those things where everything did line up just perfectly to cause the earthquake. It is a possibility.
Is that a question?
Yeah.
Arminius says, am I still live streaming? Last I checked, I was.
Yes.
Everybody's still talking, so I'm sure it's just fine.
Yeah.
It's probably just your computer.
We do have a question.
Did you hear on MSM of a nuke detonation in Eastern Europe? What do you do in the next hour besides keep listening to verify?
Yeah, so the cloud that came from that bomb that was dropped, what I saw and read was not nuclear. It looked like it because it's a massive bomb. And understand, when you actually have a large detonation that's very hot, it'll make that mushroom cloud. And so the thing is, people will see mushroom clouds and they automatically think nuclear. If it's the same detonation that I saw, it was not nuclear. But I will tell you, if for some reason they come back and say it was nuclear for whatever reason, grab your butts, because World War III has started. I don't care if it was on the Russian side, the Polish side, the Baltic state side. It doesn't matter, because even if it's a false flag or not a false flag, it doesn't matter. We're heading into World War III if that's the case. But from what I saw, there was not a nuclear detonation, but a large conventional anti-personnel bomb that was dropped, which actually in our inventory is close to being like napalm. For us, napalm is spread out over a long period. This bomb goes down from the Russians and basically explodes out with a liquid fuel and creates a huge, huge hot gas cloud, which then burns all the personnel on the ground from it. So Gray Woman, the thoughts on the barge in Oklahoma that smacked in the bridge in the Arkansas River. Yeah, and so, listen, I'm not going to be the one. The thing is, nobody knows. I'm not going to be the one that says that the ship in Baltimore was some type of test, was some type of attack, was some kind of false flag. It may be. It may not be. You and I will never know. There's some interesting things. Salvador Dali has the painting called the Broken Bridge, and then the name of the ship was the Dali. I mean, there's a lot of things like that. It makes you say, it really does. But ultimately, what we have to do is simply keep prepping and try not to get too caught up into these things. So that's what we see right there. It says, everything flamingo. What do you think of the bridge attacks?
Yeah, they're saying Saint 4, but
right. No, it's not that. It's just the word attacks.
Yeah.
I'm not the kind of person who jumps on conspiracy bandwagons. I'm not saying they're not actual attacks. I'm not saying they're not. But I am saying is we don't know for certain if that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And it's important to try to step back and try not to automatically say this is exactly what's happening. Because then emotions get into play, and you have to worry about that. And ultimately, yeah, so 2 boats knocking into bridges, that's it, Gray Woman. When was that ever happened before? It has happened before, by the way. Because I keep track of this stuff. These boats and ships do hit bridges on occasion.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess the question is, if we had these other 3 happen, and the one in Baltimore didn't collapse, would you even notice?
Well, it's just like it's bringing more awareness. And I think that's the thing. It's like if you buy a new car and you're like, oh, cool, I got this new Kia Sedona van. And then you look around and you're like, wow, they're everywhere. You don't really notice them because you're not paying too much of attention, but because this was blowing up and the bridge collapsed and everything, and now everybody's in height. Oh my gosh, there's a bridge collapsed, or oh, there's a fire in another a warehouse, or something like that. We just become hyper aware because we have news at the tip of our hand, and instantly we can get news now that we couldn't 20, 30 years ago like we do today.
I want to add on to that, like the train wreck in Ohio. The chemical dumping, which we're still paying for this, by the way. It's not even talking about monetarily, but has actually created numerous toxic locations, including even to Pennsylvania, when that train wrecked in Ohio. And then a day or 2 later, another train wrecked. And they're like, look, another train wreck. Oh, look, another train wreck. Do you realize statistically there's a train wreck every single day in this country? Every day in this country, statistically, there's a train wreck. And I'm not talking about our administration. That's a train wreck all its own. And so I'm the kind of person where I like to step back, and I'm not saying no, but I'm not saying yes either. How is that going to help us in preparing and prepping? It's not.
It just brings more fear, and I don't think it does really anybody. It's okay to connect dots, but I think when you really start looking at the grand scheme of thing and you connect all these dots, then we're all doomed, and we can't live like that. We can't live like we're all going to doom.
No, actually, here's where the problem comes in. When you make assumptions without actually having evidence to back it up, it gives us a bad name.
Like preppers, you mean?
Yeah, just preppers or conspiracy theorists or whatever. Because the thing is, a lot of preppers are already looked at as being wackos anyway. And when they're saying, "Oh, look at all the bridges," being hit by ships and stuff, I would actually like to see the stats and how often that happens anyway. Mm-hmm. For example, here's a great thing: when we see food industry plants either exploding or burning down, the first thing is that does happen. It does. But when this was really going on, even more than it is now, I was starting to look at it, and mathematically and statistically, yes, there is actually more food plants burning down than normally as far as what's going on. So there are statistics that show if you're actually looking at something that's actually relevant or not. And so before I jump on the ship that's about to hit a bridge or a bandwagon, I would actually like to see the stats and see how often these ships do hit bridges. I mean, we used to live on a sailboat, and we were going down a canal, and the bridge was getting ready to go up, and we're sitting in line like everybody else. And I decided to go ahead. I always have to push it, by the way. I can't simply just drive like a normal sail person. Our boat weighed 5 tons, and I start heading into the canal to go underneath, and I noticed that I was going a little bit too fast, and my sail was getting a little too close to the bridge for comfort. I was still going up, and so I shifted in reverse and started gunning it. And even though it was a high torque engine, the whole boat started turning sideways underneath there.
It was scary.
It was scary, but I was able to hold it. We didn't hit it. But I will tell you, when it comes to navigating craft,
it's harder than it looks.
It's difficult. There's so many things come into play. But I'll say it again. I'm not discounting that there wasn't some kind of deliberate attack from the dolly hitting the bridge. It very well may have been.
Or was it just human error?
Oh, yeah, there could be. I mean, honestly, it could be just a cyber attack. I mean, there's so many things.
There's so many things it could be.
Yeah. So, that's the thing is, now here's the key. Ready? 3%er nailed it. The bridge took 5 years to build. Now it'll take 10 years.
I know, to get the material. And
that's the important part we have to look at. You ready? Who caused it to go down, why it went down, et cetera. That's one thing. But now we have a disruption in our supply chain that'll take upwards of 10 years. That's something we should focus on more than wondering what caused it to go down.
Yeah. It's exactly what it is. It just makes a bad situation for everybody. Not only the people that lost their lives, the guy that I mean, golly, think about how this guy has to feel now that he took this life of these people on this bridge and the mayhem that he's caused. I mean, he's going to have a very hard time for the rest of his life. I know, but navigating it.
Everything flamingo. Did you hear about the bird flu that hit the cattle industry? Is that even possible? It is possible. Let me tell you as a doctor, this is what we look at. Years ago, when I was practicing and also when I was teaching nursing school, etc., I would have, if you ever ran into you and you said, hey, basically, what would you say about having some kind of major epidemic or turning into a pandemic? I would say, well, listen, as a physician, it's something we worry about because we're past due for one. And the way we see our medical, I'm trying to look at the right terminology, just basically infectious agents are on the increase. It is something that's going to happen. We know it's going to happen, and it's just a matter of time. And so there's a lot of things put into play medical-wise that we have to be ready for. Because here's the thing. Having the general flu, one of the influenza viruses, mutate to cause major problems, it can happen. But it's actually not as likely causing major problems. However, whenever you see any type of viruses passing from species to species, that's all, I don't say almost always, but that is much more often catastrophic. That's what we worry about. And so here's the thing. Personally, as a doctor, I think this whole thing as far as like the avian flu is being blown way out of proportion because the very, very few cases that actually pass from bird to human, very rare. And we've never seen it pass after that from person to person. But that's what they're worried about. And that's why they're trying to call all these birds. They're saying, oh, we're doing this just in case. Screw your just in case. I want my chicken dinner. Because when they're doing this, I mean, do I believe they're trying to do this to control the food industry? I also believe that too. And this very well may simply be a means for that happening. But when I start seeing it pass from an animal to human or from one animal to a different animal, I will tell you as a physician, that is what we worry about because that's when it becomes deadly.
Wow.
Are you talking about the bird flu?
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you answer both questions?
All right.
I guess both of them are.
I don't know. All right. So Art Heath for $19.99 super chat. Thank you, Art Heath. Appreciate that. We really do, by the way. Okay. Since '60, there have only been 35 major bridge collapses worldwide.
Wow.
And if you count the one that just happened in Holland and the one in Baltimore, we've had 2 major collapses in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Now, I will say this. So 35 since 1960. So we're looking at 60 years. So I'm going to go ahead and just actually be a little generous. That's like 1 collapse every 2 years. Pretty close to it. But you don't see it and say, oh, look, it's been 2 years. Better watch. There's going to be another collapse out there. Obviously, it doesn't happen that way. It's just the average. So here's the thing. When we see the bridges collapsing close to each other, it makes you at least take notice.
Yeah.
Thank you for those stats, by the way.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And thank you for the super chat again, too. But I will say this. When we see 2 bridges in a matter of 2 weeks, major ones collapsing in the last 2 weeks, if a third one happens, then I'm really going to start looking at it because now we see a bigger problem. And I will tell you that when we talk about as far as war goes, that's actually a tactic of war is to cause infrastructure damage and problems prior to the war taking place in the first place. Because the more you can disrupt that while being under the radar, the better off you are as far as waging that war. So that is something else we have to keep in mind too.
Advantages of 800 watt solar powered well pump over a 220 vamp water pump.
I need to find that question.
It's way up there.
So we have an 800 watt well pump.
Yeah.
Compared to what?
Solar
power well pump over a 220 volt water pump.
The advantages?
Yes.
Well, one's solar. Yeah, so I will tell you, the biggest problem you have with 220 well pumps is trying to find a power supply to power those, a power source, I should say, if the grid goes down. I say that because that's what we have, is we have a 220 well pump, and it's a pretty hefty one. And we could turn our well pump into 110. It wouldn't be as efficient. But when I see the grid going down, my Bluetti will not make that well pump go. And so that's why I got my Mango systems. There's 2 of them, and connected together will actually give 220, 240 volts. If you can get an 800 watt solar well pump that will work efficiently, then that might be the way to go. Because that way you can bypass trying to have some type of 240 volt service coming to it. Now, our gas generator is a 10,000 watt, 240 volt gas generator. But if we're talking about a major prolonged problem, like if the grid goes down and the transformers go down, it's going to be years before it comes back up again. Gas is only going to last so long. Yeah. So trying to go solar for this would actually work really, really well.
Do you know of any places that can sell 55-gallon water barrels for a decent price for rain catchment?
Oh, for rain catchment? Yeah, that's
If
the
it's
thing.
rain catchment,
Yeah,
can't you
still-
look for pickle barrels? Or?
Well, it depends on what you're using the water for. If you're using rainwater catchment to like feed your garden, then yeah, any type of food grade. Like we have a whole bunch of pickle barrels, and they do smell like pickles. Maybe you like pickle water. I'm not a pickle water kind of person.
But if you probably bleach it and stuff, it'll probably get most of that out, wouldn't it?
I don't know. Hey, you.
Can you recommend a good
Hold
site?
on, I'm still on the well. At one time, a couple years ago, I found a company out of. They were near Pensacola or Mobile, Alabama, down there somewhere, that would ship barrels to you. They used to hold saline for medical purposes, but they're food grade. That's gonna be really loud, Ash. I don't know if you want to.
Okay, we got it.
I feel like I'm trying to yell over.
Okay.
Go. I haven't checked those sources in a while. You might want to check Facebook Marketplace and click on delivery instead of local. Or I used to see mine on Craigslist also back in the Craigslist days. So they are out there. Okay, what else, Amy?
Can you recommend a good site to learn how to learn how to use a achieved charcoal to filter water?
Activated charcoal. Unfortunately, I do not. I do not have a site. I've actually been meaning.
YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube. I've been meaning to try to actually make videos where it's a whole series in activated charcoal. My problem is, especially in Michigan when it's cooler out, I'm kind of stuck indoors, not doing a whole lot of stuff outside. I actually know how to use activated charcoal or even use my own wood ash to make my own filters. But making videos and spending time with family and homeschooling and teaching martial arts and projects and stuff has me taxed for time, unfortunately. But I would love to do these things. It's always my plan as I go into summer. I have all these plans of doing these things. So I'll try to do what I can. But I bet you anything there are, like Naomi's saying, I bet there are some YouTube videos out there who already show how to do that.
What do you think about delays the Sentinel nuclear weapon project of the U.S. Air Force?
Yes. I was looking at that. It's really interesting. I've had some people I know who know things who say that there's no way in the world that project can work. They've actually determined it to be physics-wise impossible, and it's all just hyperbole. But on the same note, too, I don't know. It's in some ways, there's a part of me that's kind of happy our military is finally building back up again with doing research and R&D. But another part, too, it drives me nuts that our military does all this R&D stuff, not for fun, but actually do it to kill people.
I have more questions.
You're welcome, Everything Flamingo. I appreciate it.
Does anyone know a good aquaponics system?
I don't know of any aquaponics system you can just buy. I've thought about making my own. If you either get a 12 or 24 volt aquaponics is the way to go, especially if you make it solar powered. I will tell you, don't do this. Like, whatever, I consider him a good friend anyway, but Zach from American Homestead. I love Zach to death. But when he actually put his aquaponics system in, he actually had solar, which then converted the 24 volts to 110. Then the 110, he used regular outlets to make his 24 volt pump motors go. And I'm like, every time you change from 24 volts to 110, then 110 back to 20, you're going to lose power. If you do this, it's best to stay with a 24 volt system and have 24 volt pumps if you're going to be doing solar, by the way. But doing an aquaponics system, I'm all about that. I love botany and aquaponics and hydroponics. I love all that stuff. Absolutely love it. But again, the same thing. I need to find a way to make it so I never have to sleep. I'm up 24 hours a day and work on stuff.
We get so much accomplished.
There's an X-Files episode of that. You just remove part of the brain and ready to go.
Yeah. Actually, there's a medical condition where people can't sleep anymore.
Don't they die young?
And yeah, within over a month. Our human body can only go, it's like 35 days without sleep before you die.
Wow.
We have to have it.
Hypothetically, if you hear a nuke
Detonation.
thank you, in Eastern Europe, what do you do in the next hour?
Okay, so yes,
Sick.
I don't know if this is a person, but talk about the next hour. If there's been that's actually a fantastic question, by the way. So I see where you're asking now. It's not simply asking about the nuke, but what are you going to do in the next hour? If there's been a nuclear detonation in Eastern Europe, now, are you talking about Eastern Europe, the Baltic countries, Poland, Romania? Or are you talking about Eastern Europe like in Ukraine? If it's actually in a NATO country,
We're going to tap pop out.
It's definitely time to put stuff in your Faraday cage. I'll tell you right now. That's all there is to it. If it's in Ukraine, I'm not saying it may not lead to a major problem, but it's not going to be as pressing, unfortunately. And I don't mean to put it that, basically to try to sound cold. But with what's going on with Ukraine, I'm just going to shift this way a little bit. With what's going on with Ukraine, they're not a NATO country. And therefore, NATO does not have an obligation to defend Ukraine if there's a nuclear attack. So if Russia sets off a nuke in Ukraine, guys, we're not going to get to the argument if Russia does it or NATO does it. We're not getting there. If there's a detonation in Ukraine and Russia is being accused of setting off that nuke in Ukraine, then it's going to go into more sanctions. It's going to go to the UN. They're going to try to charge Russia in using weapons of mass destruction, et cetera, et cetera. If that nuke happens to take place in a NATO country, then it's World War III, period. Now, I'm not saying good old Biden is going to immediately cause a retribution, because he won't, by the way. But nevertheless, NATO is obligated to step in, and it is World War III. So that is something to think about. Where's that nuke going off? If it's a NATO country, it's the worst case scenario. If it's Ukraine, I'm not sound cold, but the Ukrainians, that's sad it happened to the Ukrainians. Because I feel bad for Ukrainian people, and I feel bad for Russian people, and I feel bad for American people. The people is what I really worry about. And if a nuclear detonation goes off, it's sad for the people who died from it, but at least it's not going to lead immediately to World War III.
I have a bunch of questions when you're ready.
All right, I'm ready.
Are there any seed packets you would recommend? I've seen lots on Amazon.
Yeah, I'm not saying seed packets from Amazon aren't bad. You would actually fare better, by the way, if you could try to find local seed companies to where you're located. Great example, we live up here in the beautiful, beautiful state of snowy Michigan. And when we plant our seeds in the snow, I say that jokingly, there's a lot of plant species that grow well up here, but not all of them.
Banana trees.
What's that?
Banana trees.
A banana seed, yeah. So if you have some banana seeds. And so if I just buy a seed pack from Amazon, which I've done before, you're probably going to have a less germination rate and a lower yield, because those plant varieties just simply don't do well for what we're here in our zone up here in Michigan. So what I do is for my seeds, I only buy seeds from M.I. Gardner. And Luke from M.I. Gardner, if you guys know him and you've lived up in this area, definitely buy stuff from Luke. Luke's a fantastic guy. Love Luke and Cindy. But I'll tell you this, with M.I. Gardner, what he does is he actually went all over Michigan and found these companies who actually use these plants and get the seeds, and he buys the seeds directly from these seed companies, from these plant companies here in Michigan, and repackages them under the M.I. Gardner label. So they're all local plants, all local seeds, so you know they do well in Michigan. Now, taking the M.I. Gardner seeds from Michigan down to Georgia may not do so well because it's hotter. Some of the plants may not do so well in a hot environment, but that's my point. When you buy a giant pack of seeds from Amazon, I bought them there too. You don't know where those seeds are from, and they may not go well for your zone. That's the biggest thing you have to worry about.
Can a plague or other human issues transfer to livestock and cause more issues?
Yes. So if there's a plague in humans, can it transfer to livestock and cause more issues? Absolutely, but the key word is it can. Going between one species to the next does not happen very often. It's pretty darn rare. But when it does, that's when the problem kicks in. That's when you see some of the worst problems, is when it goes from species to species. And then, if it goes from like a cow to a human, then it becomes so we can transfer it from human to human. That's really bad news. And that's actually something that doesn't happen very often either.
Oh, we got a super chat.
Yep, Martha Price, $10. Thank you, Martha. I appreciate that.
Thank
First
you.
super chat ever, so I don't know how it works. Yeah, honestly, Martha, I have no idea how it works. I watch other channels, but I don't know how to do a super chat.
Well, you did it right.
Yeah, we got $10. Thank you. Just want to give Goshen Prepping a true thanks and ask how I can decide between Blue Eddy versus mangoes, as well as the value versus capability. Thanks. Oh, yeah, great question, Martha. Okay, in fact, I would like to see if I can get an EcoFlow, and I also want to see if I can get a Jackery. And that way I can do a true comparison. But it really depends on what you need. You ready, Martha? Here's what it comes down to. Price per pound, you will do better with a Blue Eddy than a mango. The mangoes are over the top awesome. That's all there is to it. They are simply fantastic. But it comes down to this, and here's what my decision was. If you need 240 volts, because I have a well pump that's 240, the Bluetti's not going to cut it for you. The Mangoes will. The Mangoes will run 240, not to mention they're so huge and they charge so fast, they will run my entire house. Price-wise, however, they're really expensive. I mean, compared to the Bluetti anyway. Now, let's go back to the Bluetti. I've tested my Bluetti out. Right behind the camera right over here, we have a chest freezer. We have a few chest freezers in the house. But that's kind of like our one near the kitchen that, we can just grab stuff if we need to. We have more chest freezers in other locales. And my Bluetti with a solar panel will make my chest freezer run indefinitely. Even if it's cloudy. By the way, when people tell you, oh, you have to have sunny things for solar panels, that's not true at all. Granted, it is going to not charge them as much, but you always want to have it so your solar generator goes way above and beyond what your actually needs are. So my Bluetti will run that chest freezer, but pretty much only that chest freezer. My Mangoes will run the entire house, including my 240 volt well pump. So it really comes down to, what do you need? That's what you have to look at. Do you need 240 volts? Then I wouldn't go with Bluetti. I would go with the Mangoes. If you don't need 240, you're only 110, but you need a lot of power because you have a lot of solar generation stuff, you still might want to go with the Mangoes, but maybe only just one instead of two. Maybe get the extra battery for it instead so it lasts longer. If you only just need to run a freezer or so and you don't want to spend a lot of extra money, then the Bluetti will actually work just well for you. And again, I'm not necessarily, even though I have a Bluetti and they have sponsored me years ago, I love my Bluetti. This is not the sponsor telling me to say that. I love my Bluetti. And those Mangoes, and this is not the sponsor telling me this, those Mangoes impress the daylights out of me on the amount of power those suckers put out. Mm-hmm. So much so, that's actually a summer project we're working on now, is putting in probably about 6,000 watts of solar panels to just charge up those Mangoes, and that way the Mangoes can run my whole house. Now, they're not going to do it so it runs everything in the house, but if we're talking about a grid down for a few years, we'll have to say, okay, guys, you know what? Today it's a pretty good sunny day. We have extra power coming in. We can now run this much water and this stuff, but we actually have to proportion how much power we use depending on the situation, but that's better than not having no power and no water at all. I hope that answers your question. But thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that.
What supplies and tech can we stock to help increase survivability with the mother in childbirth?
Oh, boy. Whew, that's a great question.
Tools and stuff.
You know what? It is certainly more than I can list right now.
That'd be a cool video.
But that's what I'm saying. That would be a fantastic video. And I believe I have everything in my stockpiles for baby delivery. I have medical stuff. If we look at proportions, I probably have more medical stuff prepped than anything, just as far as proportion goes. I have more of other stuff, but, dedicated just medical. Although I do not have a medical baby birthing kit as one kit. There's no need to because nobody in my house has preggers. I don't have that put together, but if crap's hit the fan and my wife is pregnant, she's going to be giving birth in a couple months, I might actually take all the supplies from the different kits and make a birthing kit. But I think that's something I should do. Again, I'm making a medical series, so I'll certainly add that to the list of medical videos and talk about birthing. Birthing's pretty amazing. It really is designed to make it so if nothing goes wrong per se, there's actually very little input that needs to be done from another person. It's just when it goes wrong, that's where obviously the catastrophic parts come in, and that's where I have to worry about it.
Just have to be there to catch.
Yeah, baseball glove.
What type of pool shock for keeping water safe?
I don't have an answer to that. That's actually on my list of things to research myself. I know pool shock will work, but it all depends on the concentration of the pool shock, because the concentration is what determines what will kill the biological organisms in the water. So I don't have that for you. I need to go to a pool store and maybe buy a few different ones and look at the concentrations, then I can actually make that information for you. But I don't have that for you right now.
Wait, they sell birthing kits?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you get on Amazon?
Probably. I know it used to be you couldn't buy stuff on Amazon unless you had a medical license, but now they don't care.
It's amazing the kits you can buy.
Great woman. Eric, do you edit your own videos or do you hire an editor to help you? No, I do it all myself.
Oh, yeah, I answered that one.
Oh, did you? I get emails every single day about some guy saying, hey, I'll edit your videos for you or I'll make thumbnails for you. And there's part of me who wants to say, sure, I'll do that, but honestly, I take pride in making my own videos. I like making the videos. I like editing them. When I'm done, I like saying, look what I made. I made this video,
You should put this in the video for the birthing kit. According to old movies, all you need is sheets, boiling water, and a forceps.
Yeah, or newspaper.
Yeah.
It used to be, get some newspaper. We're going to have a baby. Which, surprisingly, by the way, newspaper is pretty sanitary. It really is. That's why they used to use it.
Oh. I was wondering about tap water and how long can you store it for?
Yeah, so tap water, if you store it without any type of like bleach, it'll store like that for a few years. It'll be fine. Bleach will simply just render any life in there dead completely. And as long as you put it into a dark, cool environment, it'll stay like that indefinitely. Because the bleach itself, every time sun hits bleach, makes the bleach dissipate off the things, but you don't want sun on your water preps anyway. Oh, I thought your computer was dying, Naomi.
No, just turn it down.
Yeah, so tap water will be just fine. It's always good if you're looking at long term, though, even if you're keeping it in a dark environment, to put a little bit of bleach in there, because if there are any microorganisms in there, and from a tap, it's unlikely, but it still can happen, they can multiply and do their little microorganism thingy and have baby microorganisms.
Aww.
And so now you drink the water a couple years later, it's highly, highly unlikely, but that's why I want to put bleach in there. That's the only reason.
Flavoring. We have a super chat.
Yeah, see that. From R. Heath, 99. Thank you, R. Heath. Refuge Medical sells a fantastic birthing bucket. That sounds so funny, though, a birthing bucket. It doesn't make you think there's stuff in the bucket.
Is it like, if they do the crouch
Oh, you know
thing
what?
and they catch baby?
Refuge Medical. Thank you, R. Heath. They actually contacted me and asked if they would like to sponsor me with medical equipment. And I said, actually, I would.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
And they literally said to me, anything on the list we sell, you let us know and we'll send it to you.
Birthing bucket.
And so I might get the birthing bucket just for that reason. Thank you.
I need to know what.
They have the best medical kits around. Pricey, though. Yeah, R. Heath, I hate the pricey part. I love saving a buck. And medical, though, there are some tricks to saving a buck with medical. Like if you want to buy 4x4 gauze pads, if you buy a little pack here or a medical kit here, they're super expensive. But if you get like in a giant package of them, it's a fraction of the price, but then you have to spread it out between all your kits. There's a lot of things you can do like that in medical. That and also yard sales. There's a lot of people who have like maybe like a grandpa who had a lot of medical stuff and grandpa died, so they just have the stuff in a box and they want to sell it all, partially used. I'm just kidding.
I have a question.
You have a question?
Well, someone gave me a question. This is a Harry Potter shirt. It's the herbology.
Where'd you get that shirt from?
Walmart. Okay, he gave it to me.
I bought it for you. I bought that for you.
Do people get prepping burnout with everything going on?
Oh, for sure, people get prepping burnout. It's even, basically, here's how I describe people. People like to bury their head in the sand. They like to look at all the modern things that we have. Let's see, today let's go to the movies, then let's go out to eat here, and tomorrow let's drive down to the city and we'll go to this play or whatever. I'm just making stuff up. And to acknowledge that you have to prep, they think you have to give up all that stuff. I mean, I like seeing a movie now and then. What drives me nuts is the teenagers who have their cell phones in the movie. Drives me, it's a pet
I'll
peeve.
be like, ahem! And
I know, I'll say something to them. I've found that people, what they'll do is they'll prep with a vengeance, prep, and then they'll finally say, I can't do this anymore. And they'll keep their preps usually, but then they'll shift to a mindset of, I'm just going to live my life, and if it happens, it happens, which is fine. I think what you should do, and if you've seen my videos, I keep a level head. You should live your life like nothing's going to happen, but still prepare in case something does. So prepare for the worst, hope for the best, live your life, enjoy your family, enjoy your time, prep with a level head, don't get excited and worried about it, just keep prepping. Then if something does happen, then you'll be ready. That's my motto for life.
I think also if they go too hard too quickly, yeah, that can burn you out really fast.
Oh boy, and it gets expensive too, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Let's see.
I have questions. I do the document thing.
I see one from Gray Woman. There's probably other questions. Actually, here's another one real quick from Vicky. Hi, Vicky. During a CME, can you pull your electric meter and turn off the main breaker to save your devices? Unfortunately, you cannot, Vicky, because, excuse me, the incredible amount of current. And by the way, I don't know if you know this, but an EMP shield is not rated for a CME. CMEs can be so large, the EMP shield will not be enough for it. But what happens is with current, it looks for the path of least resistance. And so if it's traveling down to your house and your breaker shut off or you pulled your meter, which you can do, by the way, not legally, just you can still do it. It can literally arc right across those connections, right across that breaker that's open and still fry everything in your house. And catch your house on fire while it's doing it too, by the way, because now you actually even have more arcing because of that. So the CME certainly can. Now an EMP can too, but a CME is far much more powerful, faster too. It's some pretty incredible potent stuff. And then from Gray Woman, given the recent issues with Liberty Safes, oh my gosh, don't even get me started on that. Would any other safe company actually refuse to give your codes to the feds if they ask to provide it? Oh, I bet you anything they would. I find that companies want to satisfy their customers, but they also want to be able to sell things without having heat from the federal government. And for the fact that the FBI is strong-arming these people, these companies, and giving them that stuff, I think the companies are like, you know this is wrong, don't you? And they'll hand it over to them anyway. This stuff really bugs me. From Arminius, what's the one disaster that scares you the most?
Yeah,
I'll start nuclear winter. Nuclear winter does not frighten me. I'll be honest with you. There's Carl Sagan with 2 other scientists is the one that came up with the idea for nuclear winter. And he was well known to provide outlandish statements for ecological and environmental reasons. Because he was one of those rock star scientists, you know what I'm saying? There's a few of those guys around. I would say Bill Nye is a rock star scientist, but he's not a scientist. Do you guys know that? Bill Nye has no science background at all. He did a comedy skit as a scientist, and the rest is history. So when he talks science, you may as well just laugh at him. The man doesn't know science at all.
Oppenheimer's a rock.
Yeah, Oppenheimer was a rock star scientist. But Oppenheimer respected, you know.
Oh,
a lot of the rock star scientists want to use the rock star caveat to.
Is that an actual term?
Yeah, in the science community we use it all the time.
My bad. I was just feeling like I like Oppenheimer.
But anyways, he really pushed this nuclear winter. And not to mention like the movies like A Day After and stuff will talk about nuclear winter. The actual studies out show that even with a major nuclear exchange, a nuclear winter may not even happen. And if it is, we're talking about maybe just a cooler summer and not anything really outside of the normal means of a winter, which is very interesting. If you want to ask, my number one fear for a disaster isn't the disaster itself, but the people's action because of the disaster. My fear is the loss of a power grid. And I'm not talking about not having power in my house. We live out in the middle of nowhere and we have wood from heat from wood, and we have our own food and we hunt in the backyard and we have water. We have a natural spring on our property. We're set. We really are. We could literally, if somebody said, hey, we need to put a glass dome around your property, you can never leave again, as long as some of those deer guys got trapped in my dome, I'd be good.
And cable.
And cable TV, exactly. Joking. We'd be fine. It's not the disaster I fear. It's the 95% of people who don't prep who are going to go crazy because they have no food. That's my fear. My fear is fellow man. And that is the reason why I am a marksman. I'm a proficient shooter. I do long range shooting as well. Not to mention, I am a black belt and study and teach numerous aspects of martial arts. I teach my kids all these things too. Naomi's fantastic. When I spar her, it's one of those things where I'm kind of scared to kick her hard, like in the head, but she's fast. Holy cow, she's fast.
Because I'm small. And
I teach all my kids this. I teach them all kinds of numerous weapons. I've joked before, I really feel bad for the moron who breaks in our house with our whole family home. That person will be like, holy crap, I picked the wrong house.
You're like, this is why I have a bed.
But that's my fear, Arminius. My fear is not the disaster. It's the chaos enveloped from mankind because of the disaster is what I fear.
I fear zombies.
Well, watch The Walking Dead. It's not the zombies you have to fear. It's Shane.
There's that one zombie though that's like when you're like almost good and then he like reaches to the fence and there you go. Yeah, it's Shane. Shane turned into a zombie.
Yeah, exactly. Shane the zombie. Oh, I just saw a great question, but it just disappeared.
I have. Is it?
Somebody said, "How do I balance?"
I don't know.
Let's see. Oh, hold on. I'm back.
Hi.
How do you? Oh, here we go. Great. From Everything Flamingo again. Hey, everything again. How do you balance fear of what we know and aware of both living a normal, and I'm sure you say basically a normal life? the first thing I have, by the way, is I don't have the fear. I used to, and not going to get into it too much, but I had, after the military, I had some serious PTSD. Because of the stuff I saw in the nuclear field, I've seen things that you guys don't know about. And for years, I would not be able to sleep and wake up in a cold sweat. My wife would touch me like this at all. I would start hitting her. And it wasn't spousal abuse. She knows not to touch me or wake me up. It still happens sometimes. Once in a blue moon, my kids will come in my bedroom and say, "Dad," and my wife will tell them, their mom, "Don't touch Dad when he's sleeping. Don't do it."
Yeah.
I am like night and day better compared to what I used to be. So I used to have the fear. I don't anymore. I really have come to the point where I'm completely just relaxed. I'm level-headed. I continuously prep. I think it's probably because I've really learned throughout the years to adapt, to be able to live in an adaptable mindset where one of my strengths is not simply just preparing, but I'm very quick on my feet and how to think and get out of situations very quickly. And so I prep. I teach prepping, talk about prepping. Everything's prepping in our family, obviously. But then if the thing ever happens, I take a little bit of assurance that I'm very good at thinking on my feet and handling situations. So I don't have fear. I have concern. I am concerned right now with the buildup of Russian forces outside Lithuania. I'm concerned, but I don't have fear for it. I'm concerned that right now we're heading into a solar maximum, and we've had a couple X-class flares in the last week. If we have an X15, X20, it may take our grid. Those are concerns I have. But I don't have fear. I just try to live my day every day the best I can. And so that way, if we end up dying, we end up dying. But I try to do my best to make it so we have increased chances of survivability. And that's one of the things I talk about all the time, too, on the channel is do not have fear. Fear will cloud your mind. Emotions will cloud your mind every time. It'll cloud your mind in getting ready for prepping. Then when crap hits the fan, it'll cloud your mind, and it's probably it's going to kill you. So you really have to learn to develop a level head and not let things bug you. It's a difficult thing to master, but that's where I live.
Which Rex med kit can we which Rex med kit would you choose and why that one?
I don't know. Honestly, I really don't. If you're talking about an RX med kit like Jase Medical, I have those things, but I actually get my prescriptions from alternate means anyways. And when it comes to med kits, I don't buy med kits. I put my own med kits together. And that's one of the nice things about being a doctor is I know what's needed and what's not. I find that most just medical kits you buy have an overabundance of like Band-Aids, which will do nothing in a trauma situation. Listen, in reality, you don't ever need a Band-Aid. You can actually take, by the way, this is one of the best things you can do for a major cut. Here's my disclaimer. I'm a doctor, but go see your own doctor if you have a cut. Go to the hospital, ER, go to urgent care. Don't listen to me. That's one of those stupid YouTube things. But if I have a gash and I don't have a bandage, but I have a 4x4 gauze pad, take the gauze pad and cut it up so it kind of almost feels like feathers. It's like this big fluffy ball. And take it and stick it right on the cut and hold it there for a minute. And all the coagulation is going to use that gauze pad to make a scab. Because when we talk about the coagulation factors, all the things that come into play, use whatever they can to try to grab on stuff. I figured this out when I was a kid, by the way. I remember as a kid, I would get a cut, and I wouldn't clean it on purpose because I like to experiment with things. I'd be like there's a little piece of a leaf or something there. I know it's gross, but I was a kid. And I noticed the scab would actually take that piece of the leaf and actually make it part of the scab. And I figured this stuff out as a kid, but now as a doctor, I was like, oh, it makes sense. All the coagulative factors in there use anything they can. So if you put a gauze pad on there, a gauze pad will work too, but the gauze pad will have a tendency to try to rip off. If you can shred it up into like this feathers type substance and put it on there, and then after the scab forms, don't rip it off. If you need to trim some of the fur off there, do it. But literally the gauze pad is going to help you make the scab and seal it off. Mm-hmm. That's not even a Band-Aid. That's not even a bandage. It's something you can do. You can do the same thing if you have clean paper and like shreds of newspaper and stuff, or a piece of cloth. The biggest problem is when people use bandages per se, is they take the bandages back off again, which rips off the scab. Yeah. And that's why I forget which company, was it 3M, developed Telfa pads. And Telfa pads were made not to rip off with a scab, but they still do sometimes.
Did we ever get that super chat?
I don't know.
It's way up there.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I did not. Thank you. R. Heath, a super chat for $4.99. Thank you, R. Heath. They are amazing. Top line items made in the USA. Good. Thank you. Yeah, they are amazing. You're talking about that medical company again. Yeah, it's very good. I think I'm probably going to, as I continue with my medical videos, probably use some of their stuff because, you know, it's a win-win. I can actually show you how some of the stuff's done, and they get some advertising for their company. That's what I'm certainly considering.
Could you use cotton balls?
You could use cotton balls too. Yeah, anything that basically the scab can grab onto without threat of ripping it off. Now, I wouldn't use a cotton ball. I would shred it up so it's nice, fine cotton. But that'll work just fine also.
Oh, we have another super chat.
Another one?
It's at the bottom.
All right, thank you. You guys, if I'm scrolling down to these super chats and I miss a question, I apologize. It's always best if you put it at the Knowledge Realm or at Goshen Prepping so we see it pop out. But anyway, from Carla again, thank you for $2. It says, Naomi, he's a Superman, remember? Is that me?
I don't know.
Am I the Superman?
Is that what you're referring to? Because, yes, on that. But I went through so many questions. I'm like, wait, what am I talking about?
Thank you. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. Fear brings torment. Exactly. And it's really weird telling yourself not to be fearful. You know what I'm saying? And there's times where I find myself almost getting caught up, and I'll tell myself, no, it's just emotion. Just purge yourself of all emotions. You'll be good.
Flour to stop bleeding?
Never
heard
Could
that.
flour stop bleeding? I imagine it probably could.
Can a general person purchase IVs?
Can a general person buy IV stuff like the needles and the bags and everything? Yeah. If you're crafty, you can, yes. I don't think Amazon sells it. I don't think they do anyway. But if you are put a little cleverness into it, you'll find a place that'll sell it to you. Some places don't care.
I can answer this one. Do you think prescription medication will run out when shit hits the fan?
Oh yeah, it's already running out now. Yeah, we're having shortage on a lot of that stuff. I think we're going to see things like World War Z. I think
where he's like in the grocery store.
Yeah, he goes to that pharmacy and everybody's just ransacking it. I think that's basically what's going to happen.
We have one question. I'm working through all the questions, guys. We have a lot, so if I miss yours, it's there. I'm wondering if I could store water or canned goods in a shower stall that's not being used. I think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just like an empty room then.
Yeah, I will tell you though, here's the thing though, I want to make sure it's dry because any moisture and stuff in there, like you have a leaky faucet, you don't want your cans to turn rusty. That's the biggest thing you have to look at. I see a super sticker from Christy Etsy for $5. Thank you, Christy.
It's going
well. And is a pair saying, how is it going? What's he doing?
He is like doing a workout, but he's like going, yeah.
I love the pair. He's great. Yeah, Kim's Cluckers. Clove powder is in a moist cotton ball for toothaches. Clove works amazing for toothaches. The only problem is it's so short-lived. That's the problem with it. But no, you're right. Cloves are incredible.
When crap hits the... Can I say crap?
Yeah.
Okay. When crap hits the fan, do we have dental issues since there's no dentist around? Well, people who have braces will.
Oh, yeah.
Those poor people.
Well, yeah, orthodontics. But let me tell you into something. You ready for this? If crap hits the fan and you have like a lot of extra of the meat and stuff that you want to have, you can actually get by without any type of dental problems. I thought about putting this into a video, but I have a dentist friend of mine who did some work in Africa. And we were talking, because I know the whole thing about the reason that dentists are so happy getting a lot of money is because of sugar. That's all there is to it. And he's like, oh yeah, if people somehow could never eat sugar again, they'd be fine. He goes, let me tell you a story. He goes, I went to Africa on a trip where basically we helped out some poor little towns and stuff. And he goes, we went to this one town, and the town had enough money so they could actually eat bread. And they had toothbrushes and stuff. And he goes, but still, even with toothbrushes, they had cavities like you wouldn't believe. And we had to pull so many teeth and everything. It was awful. He goes, the next day we had to go really way out in the middle of nowhere to this other town that was so poor that they couldn't even make bread. All they had was vegetables, for example, they pulled out of the ground to eat. That's the only thing they had to eat. They were so poor they didn't even have any toothbrushes. And guess what their teeth was like? No cavities.
Yeah, they're good.
They had no cavities. Sugar, when it gets on your teeth, is what makes cavities. It's that simple. So simple. It's sugar. Because the microbes on the teeth, that's what they do is they go through metabolic processes and use that sugar to greatly multiply. And now suddenly you have these bacteria everywhere munching on your teeth. And that's what forms a cavity. There's actually a technique called oil pulling, where people in countries who don't have a lot of money, but they have like coconut and stuff, will actually take like coconut oil, and they still brush their teeth, but they take their coconut oil and swish it in their mouth for 5 minutes a day. And the oil sets up a membrane on the teeth where it sets up an anaerobic situation where the bacteria can't grow, even though they have sugar. And it literally has made it, and this is what they tell you anyway, I don't know if it's true or not, where it actually will make it so even some cavities will start healing themselves and you won't have cavities anymore. So if crap really hits the fan, the sugar is what the problem is. And if you notice, I always talk about keto and everything, having sugar, and I go through the different types of people's list as far as, what to stockpile. And I remember I went over like the Mormons, or, they want to call Latter-day Saints now. They actually have all this sugar and grain that they store. And I'm like, I'm not saying don't store sugar. If you have a sugar thing and you like to bake and everything, I get it. But they had like almost no meat, but all sugary stuff. I was like, that's insane. You really should try to stay away from the sugar as much as possible. It really causes major problems.
You can use someone asked about super glue, and I said you can use it for like small cuts. How?
You can actually use it for larger cuts.
Yeah.
It's best if you're going to stockpile super glue for reasons of cuts, then get the super glue gel. That's actually one of the better ones to have. It actually seals the cuts a little bit better. But in the ER, we used the medical grade super glue, which was called something else. My brain Swiss cheese. I don't remember. We used something else.
Let's stick with these medical questions.
All right, medical questions.
What do you think is the best herbal I cannot speak tonight. If unavailable.
Best herbal what?
Antibiotic.
I don't know. Best herbal antibiotic?
Yes, thank you.
I'll say it again. I don't know herbals very well. Since I was trained in classic medicine, I used to know prescriptions like the back of my hand. I thrived in it, where I would say, oh, you have this problem, you need such and such dose, what I've been thinking about. I loved it. I can't remember anything anymore. But I was never trained in herbology. I've tried to study it, but that's a long time I have. I wish I could give you an antibiotic, a natural antibiotic. I know like prior to antibiotics, we had sulfa drugs, but I know there are some things you can use for antibiotics. I just don't know what they are. That's not my specialty, unfortunately.
Permabond?
Permabond. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah, Permabond.
What should I do if I take blood pressure medicine and it's out when stuff...
Yeah, so I will tell you this, guys. I literally cannot answer medical questions for you. I'm no longer licensed. I got a brain injury in the military that prevents me from practicing anymore. I really do have Swiss cheese brain. I did an entire video, however, on anti-hypertension techniques to use when crap hits the fan. So I would relay you to watch that video. There's some really good stuff in there, and there's certain things that I take every day that are like herbal stuff, like for example, olive leaf, that my blood pressure has dropped to practically speaking normal levels, and it was way up there. So watch that video. Look through my videos. There's one on hypertension and what to do when crap hits the fan.
How long can you run your freezer with solar when the power is down?
I can actually run my freezer with my Bluetti indefinitely. So the Bluetti solar generators, the nicer solar generators can do this, by the way. You can actually have power coming in from a solar panel, charge it, at the same time it puts power out to power your device. And so my Bluetti, I can put the solar array out, it will keep it going and charged up even when it's actually cloudy out. And since the freezer doesn't run around the clock, not even close, the temperature gets down to, I have mine set at negative 15, but it gets down to negative 15, the compressor turns on, gets negative 15. It'll just very slowly warm back up, negative 12, negative 10, and I'm not sure what the threshold is. We'll say negative 8. It'll turn it back on, down to negative 15, then stay like that for a couple hours again. And so you don't have to have constant power to run your chest freezer. That's the way to go, by the way, with a chest freezer, not an upright. Uprights are nice, but chest freezers for crap hits the fan the way you want to go. And then your solar generator, if it's powerful enough, my Bluetti, the 200 max is enough to power my chest freezer indefinitely. I never have to have it plugged in if I wanted to take that path or the avenue.
Do you think the Eclipse will set off any earthquakes?
We talked about this a little bit ago. I highly doubt it. Personally, I highly doubt it. I'm not saying no for certain, but I doubt it very much. Somebody asked if I ever heard of Manuka honey. I have, and I heard it's fantastic. I don't know a whole lot about it, though. Oh, that's good. Thanks, R. Heath, for 99 Super Chat. Patriot Nurse on YouTube offers an excellent herbal course. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Patriot Nurse has some good videos out. Very good. Thank you.
This is an interesting one. Will taking supplies from UPS/FedEx, Walmart, McDonald's, Tractor Supply become legal if sheriffs say they will after a nuke?
If a sheriff says it's okay?
Yeah, so like a nuke goes off and sheriff's like, good to go.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously that's the situation. That's what's going to happen because, and the thing is, the sheriff, who is basically the king of the county, is the only law enforcement that literally works for the people. And I would love to say every sheriff is a great person who is there for the people. But I know that's not that case. There are definitely some sheriffs who basically think they're better than everybody else and look at them as a separation instead of we the people. But I know a lot of sheriffs who are fantastic guys. And they run the county. And if there's some type of nuke or major catastrophe where we have to get the stuff from a Tractor Supply and from Walmart and everything, they'll do it. Ultimately, unfortunately, their hands are going to be so full that it's going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
We already see this in places that people just help themselves to stores and just loot as whatever they want to.
Yeah, when there's no one like watching the stores. Yeah. How many seeds do you have on hand for a family of 5?
How many what?
Seeds.
How many seeds would you put away for a family of 5?
Yeah. That's a big question.
Instead of actually asking for a family of 5, I would put it this way. I always recommend you have enough seeds for 3 years of whatever plants you can grow in your size garden. Now, having a rotation through, as you get into 3 years with some seeds, the viability of the seeds does decrease. So always try to keep the fresher stuff first. But then if crap hits the fan, you use your seeds, the freshest stuff first. But then you seriously need to get into a major... my brain's already starting to freeze up, guys. A major lifestyle change where you don't simply just eat the cucumber, but you harvest the seeds so that way it's ready to go for the next year or the year after. So I always recommend having 3 years of seeds, and that way with viability you'll be good. But you need to learn to harvest seeds as well. And then, guys, it's almost an hour and a half. We only have about 3 minutes till then. How many more questions do you have?
I have maybe 5.
Okay, well, she has 5 questions. See a couple more too. I'll go a few more questions, guys. My brain is starting to basically take its toll.
How do you protect your whole house? And another one was, how do you protect your freezer from EMP?
I saw that one about your freezer. So how do you protect your whole house from an EMP? The only way to protect your entire house is with an EMP shield. They will not work with a high-level CME from the sun, but the EMP shield will shunt the current from your house to the ground, which is great. If you have a chest freezer and you don't have an EMP shield, unplug the chest freezer. Unplug any of your devices. Take your phone and put it in the middle of your table. It's mostly only devices still plugged in the wall that are going to fry, by the way. Does my phone have a chance of frying from an EMP sitting on the table? It does. But it's so small compared to if I had it plugged in, it's pretty much guaranteed going to fry. So anything that's plugged in is gone, period. Anything that's not plugged in and away from the outlets, because it can still arc from the outlets, stands a chance of surviving.
Yeah.
That's your best bet.
Do you recommend plastic for windows? If so, like every window?
Are you talking about from a nuclear?
Doesn't say.
I mean, it's always good. It is always good to have plastic for your windows for emergencies, whatever. I would say this. Right now, like here in Michigan, it gets cold, and so I have heat. I have a wood stove, and now for the first time ever, I have a furnace, which it's weird. I press a button on the wall, and heat comes in. It's so weird. I'm not used to that. But crap hits the fan. I have my wood stove. I'll revert back to it. That's all we had for wood stove for years. But I finally broke down and put a furnace in, which it's so weird that heat turns on its own. One of my little guys, one of my sons, was standing next to the register and the heat was blowing up. He's like, "Where's this air coming from?" It was really cute.
Yeah, it was good.
But here's the thing, though. Crap hits the fan. Even if you have a wood stove, you're not going to be as efficient cutting wood. Your furnace is not going to be working. So having plastic up to seal the windows off, every little bit is going to help. Always have some plastic for windows just in case.
I have at least 2 more questions. One's real quick. Will you have time to unplug anything for an EMP?
It depends if you get notification.
That's what I thought.
For a CME, guys, I continuously check. I have an app on my phone. I probably should make a video about the app. It's fantastic app. I'll tell you what the name of it is real quick. It's called Space Weather Live, and you kind of have to know what the different types of events are from the sun. But right now, again, the last week we've gotten 2 X-class flares, which is the most powerful kind of flare you can get. Granted, they were low X-class, but that's something serious we have to consider. And if there's a major X-class flare, it can hit the Earth in 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. And so I will be like quickly putting stuff in my Faraday cage, and I don't know if I even have time to put a video out if that's the case. I see a question here somebody asked from Terabell 3. Sorry to ask again, but I didn't know if you answered.
That's the one I'm going to ask.
Okay, good. Should I reopen a water I filtered and put Clorox in it?
I have the full question.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I filtered then jarred up some water. Should I open it and put Clorox in it since I already pre-filtered it?
No, you should be okay. It should be okay pre-filtered. Yeah, you wouldn't have to I would not worry about redoing it with Clorox. It should be just fine. But if you put it in jars, though, I'll tell you, the jars should not be getting sunlight on them. They should be completely immersed, 100% black darkness. Mm-hmm. Do not leave them out on a shelf. Even if they're in your basement, some light gets down there, you need to put something so there's no light getting in them at all. All right, what else? Is that it?
We have 2 more questions.
All right, let's go through those 2 more, and then we'll call it a night.
Do you think a 10 kWh solar system for...
Yeah, I got it, 10 kilowatt hours. Uh-huh.
For 40,000's worth the investment? 40,000.
For 40,000? That sounds like a good deal, honestly. 10 kilowatt hours, that's a nice system that'll run anything in your house. I imagine that's a system without batteries, though. That's what it sounds like to me. If it is batteries, then it's a really good deal. But you also have to look at what's the system. Does it provide power back to the grid? If that's the case, they set it up so you can't use it in your house. Just FYI.
And then last one. Any ideas on water filtration, like what you use or one that may be useful, and how many replacement parts would you need for it? Yeah, they have a disease that they need really clean water.
If there's a disease?
No, they have a disease.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so here's the thing, guys. When it comes to water filtration, there's really 2 types. There's activated charcoal filters, then there's ceramic filters, and pretty much almost every water filter breaks down in those 2. It really does. The ceramic filters are more inexpensive, and they do really well. They are great at getting out any type of bio life. There's a term for it. I can't even think of. Anything that's alive in the water, bacteria or amoebas, etc., mm-hmm. histoplasmosis or Naegleria pylori, all these different things will get filtered out with those. And some chemicals too, like chlorine will often get filtered out. A couple other things too. However, if there's chemicals in the water, ceramic filters cannot guarantee to get all of it out. You need to have activated charcoal. The activated charcoal filters will usually get the chemicals out too, usually down to like 2 microns. Even the Berkey will actually do that, by the way. And so if you're actually really needing clean water, I personally would say find a system that actually has either a 7-stage osmosis system or maybe like some kind of really good activated charcoal filter system like a Berkey, and just get a lot of the extra charcoal filter packs for them so that way you'll be good enough for a long time. That's what I would recommend.
There you go.
My brain is fried, everybody. Bioorganisms. Yeah, everybody's saying it. It's bio something. Bio something.
Everyone says go take a rest.
I need to go take a rest. I love our live streams, though. Oh, on that note, let me see if we're live next week. I have no idea what's going on.
Is that the
Wait.
8th?
No, this is 7th. There's something going on that weekend. I think it's just a demonstration. We don't have a tournament. Our next tournament's not until the 28th.
Yeah, we have a little time.
Oh yeah, the tournament that we're not going to. Yeah, so we're free the 7th.
It looks like we're
Sunday the 7th. So we will be live a week from tonight to chat with everybody again. Guys, thanks for coming in.
Stay safe.
For all those who were able to give super chats and stuff, thank you guys. We really appreciate it.
Biofilm?
No, it's not biofilm. I don't know. My brain's so fried. I'm like trying to access that information and my brain's saying I'm shut down right now. Stop asking. So every time I get past it, somebody else says something to bio something, bio. I don't know. My brain's not working.
And like next live
You're
stream,
tormenting me.
I remember it.
Yeah, I will too. I'll remember like tomorrow morning. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys coming in. I love these live streams, guys. I love chatting with you guys, and it's. I enjoy doing videos and talking into the camera and showing people. But I love talking with people. That's what I like doing. Granted, I can't remember the word bio something, but that's okay.
Biochemical.
Bio something.
Hazard.
I'm still trying to. My brain's still trying to remember what it is. All right, guys. Appreciate coming in. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you have an even better week this week. Bioorganisms. I don't know. All right, thanks, guys.
Bye.
We'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, we'll see you for our regular video tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Thanks
Bye,
for coming
everyone.
in.